Hi, my name is Sydney Brooks, and I am doing my social media celebrity analysis on Ash Soto, who can be found at Radiant Bambi on Instagram. Um, Ash Soto was diagnosed with vitiligo at the age of 12 when she was in middle school. It started out very small, but then quickly spread across her whole body. And then, if you aren't aware, vitiligo is a condition that causes discoloring in the skin and hair through a loss of pigmentation. She noticed that she had gotten it um, much more aggressive when she got to high school, and so she worked extremely hard to go in public with long sleeve clothes on and pants on all the time, physically hiding herself so that no one would see her. She started off as a beauty blogger who just simply had vitiligo and never said anything. Just like I said, wore long sleeves and covered herself up. Um, at which point, she was doing well. She had 81,000 followers, and she was vlogging about makeup and clothes, and she seemed content. However, she mentioned that she was tired of hiding herself from the world. So in May of 2016, at 81,000 followers, she transitioned from doing makeup tutorials and blogging to telling the world about her condition. Her focus was to show how to truly embrace oneself, and she does platform work on self love and and body image love and things like that. The type of messages, those are the type of messages that she does. She created a bigger picture than just herself. She wanted to be a voice for women who might have had doubts about themselves, and the insults or like offensive slang that people were talking to her about. And she mentioned in an interview that I watched that that the turning point for her was when uh, someone saw like something she had on and was like, "Did you bathe in bleach?" And she was like, "Wow, like why would someone say something so hurtful to me?" Um, for me, at least, I like when analyzing the way in which she conducts herself, the type of content that she used to embody the movement that she's trying to put across is she uses body art to as a form of communication. She receives most of her responses on those posts of pictures of her tracing out the images on herself in forms of body art. Um, Her specific style is like very hipster, and it's shown in her posts. It's very clear in her posts the way in which she carries the way in which she carries herself is very prominent in her style and just truly trying to embody loving herself, if that makes sense. What else did I forget? If we're looking at the methods of self presentation and online impression management that she used, her online identity at the beginning was very identity manipulation driven. She, in to the regular world's mind, she was just your everyday girl who was vlogging about makeup, not knowing that underlying that her true identity, her true self, um, was an Ash with the Lago who was struggling with other things, and in doing so, her her self presentation was very closed off and hidden. She did work impression management very well in that fact, because she didn't want people to know that part about her, because then it would, in her opinion, she probably assumed that it would bring about lots of negative connotations and comments and lots of things that she'd already been bullied about in the past and just didn't want to revisit. Um, Her virtual community was a large portion of this as well, because once she got to a point in her life where she was like, I really am tired. I just don't want to do this anymore. She basically just began to do little things like I remember in a vlog she wrote that she would do little things one thing at a time, like she'd wear a quarter sleeve shirt, and then like just like mini challenges, or like wore capris so you could see her ankles. So like small challenges for herself to build the confidence to get the job done. Um, in looking at the forms of identity used, in my opinion, and the way I'm interpreting it at least is when looking at the form of, she chose to use like computer mediated communication to give her identity, and in doing so, in using computer mediated communication and for identity, you have the control to basically do what she did, which is to choose what people see and what they don't see. Because she has absolute control over what she posts, what pictures she posts, and like making sure that her skin isn't showing and all that stuff. And if I were in her shoes, like, well, not in her shoes, if I was wanting to work towards becoming a social influencer on the same platform of Instagram as her, in the same field of like body image loving and things like that, the lessons I would probably take from her in this type of social media work is I'm trying to think of the words, the little movements that she used in media and those little bitty peaks of curiosity of the wearing the capris and quarter sleeve began to pique the curiosity and just prompting for questioning and curiosity, allowing for the establishment of the movement whenever she saw herself fit, be ready to go forward and do it. Um, that's the largest lesson I think I would take from her is that you need to, it's baby steps. And now, if you're looking at her post at the very beginning in May 2016, like I scrolled all the way down and I see all that stuff, which is really cool because I could see how she, as a social influencer, molded. And so, if you look at the very first post she ever did, in May 2016, when she posted the very first picture of herself in a tank top and underwear, you can see all the Villa logo, and she said, "If you have negative comments, you will be blocked." Like seeing those small movements of herself to now, where she could care less what the comments say, she just doing her thing. Um, However, on the back end of that, the things that I'd probably do differently is her current approach is effective in getting the message across. I do feel as if it's very clear that in her sex appeal that it could potentially be a blinding factor and slow the momentum of the true meaning of the movement she's trying to get across. Because she is a very, very attractive young lady, and her sexual attributes play a large role in the attention she receives, which is very clear in some of the comments. You have like there are comments from girls and guys who are very much so inspired by what she's doing and uplifting her and loving her for doing it and talking about, in retrospect, complimenting her on how beautiful she is through the Villalago and like how that does just skin, it doesn't matter. But then you also have a lot of comments that I noticed that were simply gawking, just simply thirst, in other words, like in millennial terms, thirst trapping young men who don't care the shit of Lago, not even looking at that, or just gawking at her physique, which in turn I guess could be a more positive thing, simply because in the interim they're being forced to look past her Lago to see her physique and see her true beauty as it would be. Um, as a whole, I really do agree with the way she does it, and I really do agree with. Um, I agree the with the notion and the movement that she's trying to get across, because there's lots of times where these things are needed. In the communication aspect of it, I believe that part of the massive chunk of her story, which was not as relatable, it was very much so like just your basic blogging makeup artist. So you're like, you overlook her, you overlook her, you overlook her, and then she decides to finally tell the truth. So in a person at retrospect, I feel like she did a good job. Like, okay, cool. Like your movement is beautiful. The journey you've taken is wonderful. But in communication aspect, I'm looking at it like you used communication manipulation and like and and computer communications to manipulate people's self image, your people's impression of you, and then decided to break that that impression management in order for people to see the true you. However, in this instance, there is still impression management happening because even though she does show things of like art being on her body, there are still things that we don't see. There are still parts of her that I'm sure not everyone sees. Um, but yeah, that is my celebrity analysis for social media on Ash Shoto.